Of the passengers were still clinging to hope before the announcement of the loss of the plane. Now their emotional roller coaster moves into an entirely different direction. Earlier, I spoke with clinical psychologist Ann Rosen Spector and asked her about grief in the face of such loss.
I heard one of the survivors talking about that they were texting and calling their family member every day. It's very hard to give up hope.
The word that we hear so often, and I know you don't like it, I don't as well, is closure. Does this provide any ounce of closure?
Not really in the way people think that it will. I mean, these people have been living with what is basically post-traumatic stress disorder for over 2 weeks. They're not eating, they're not sleeping. I'm sure whatever sleep they get, when they wake up, they think everything is fine, and then they remember that they're living in a nightmare. And you can't just stop that kind of hypervigilance. It's going to take them a long time to go off duty and really believe that their loved ones are gone.
And you're someone who works in this field, so how do you get them off duty? I mean, how do you walk them through this process?
They just have to talk about it until they're done talking about it. It's different for every person, and they have to tell their story. It's very hard because most people don't want to hear the story and tell people to look on the bright side or you have to move on with your life, but people move on at their own pace.
And if you know one of the family members, what would you recommend to people who are around them? Just lend them an ear?
Absolutely. Let them talk about what they want to talk about, and don't try to get them to avoid talking about the departed person. A lot of people figure that that's a worse thing, but they really need to talk about it.
And Ann, you and I spoke about this last week, and we kind of talked about how, you know, people want a story. They want a conclusion, an end to the story. There's still, even the fact that we know that the story ended where it ended, we still don't know how the story ended. How much of a problem is that going to be for this family?
It's going to be a problem because they don't have a complete narrative, and they'll never know exactly what happened. People want to imagine how the end was, and they'll never know. They'll never know if their loved one was frightened, whether it happened quickly, whether they were agonized. That kind of thing can really torture people.
Speaking of torturing people, how much torture is it continuing to watch the recovery effort? Because we know this could go on for a long, long time.
Again, it's very hard to say. For some people, it's helpful. It gives them something to focus on and something to do. And for other people, it won't be helpful. There isn't a cookie-cutter approach to this sort of thing.
And the other thing that is different in different cultures is the body. People need a body to bury. They need the ceremony. The fact that the bodies may never be recovered. How much of an issue is that?
Well, it depends. I mean, in a lot of cultures, of course, you can do a funeral even if there is no body present. So that will help the people if they can do that. But it depends on the individual family, how they're going to proceed.
All right, Ann, thank you so much for your time.